I was on HRT, estrogen patches, and anti-androgen, firstly with spironolactone, and then Zoladex for about 10 months in 2017. And so at the beginning of January 2018, my endocrinologist told me that I had to stop hormones altogether because my blood count was rising, my red blood cell count, and they couldn't understand why. So, to cut a long story short, I wasn't on hormones from January 2018 until August 2018, when they finally found out what the problem was. The reason for my red blood cell count was that I have a really rare, it's actually a slow growing blood cancer called Polycythemia Vera. And so basically, that I've got to stop saying basically because people don't like me saying basically. But yeah, so this is what I have is an extremely rare blood cancer. Only 100,000 people in the USA have it, so I'm guessing that I don't know the exact I don't know the figures for as to how many people have it in the UK, but I'm guessing I'd be very surprised if it was more than it got up to tens of thousands. So yeah, so Polycythemia vera belongs to a series of blood cancers, which includes leukemia, and they're called proliferative neoplasms. So basically, I mean, my condition causes my body to produce too many red blood cells, and that's caused by a mutation of the JAK2 gene. Now, no one knows why polycythemia vera, polycythemia, polycythemia vera, polycythemia vera, that's right, such a mouthful, develops in people. But oddly enough, it's more likely people with an Ashkenazi Jewish heritage, such as myself, are more likely to develop polycythemia vera, and nobody knows why. I mean, possibly, I don't know, my guess is I haven't read up on this, but I've heard there's such a thing as like something called a founder effect, and Jewish people can, within the Jewish community, there are certain diseases that Jewish people are more likely to develop or be born with. And I think maybe it's something to do with the Jewish population having been isolated for so many years because we were like forced to live in ghettos for centuries, away from the general population in close proximity to each other. So I think it's something to do with that. But the strange thing about polycythemia polycythemia vera polycythemia vera is that it's actually not hereditary. So, and it can't be passed from down through families. But for some reason, Jewish people of an Ashkenazi Jewish heritage, i.e., sort of Central Eastern Europe, Russia, we have more I think slightly more likelihood of having it. So I don't understand why that is, but there we go. But so yeah, so even though I've got a progressive cancer with no actual cure, it's luckily it's a slow growing cancer. So with treatment, my life expectancy has an average of 20 years. So the scary thing is, though, that if I didn't have my medication, then I would probably be dead within 2 years. So, and I mean, a low polycythemia vera puts me at a slightly higher risk of developing leukemia. I think it's something like 5%. The thing that's most likely to get me is a blood clot or a stroke. And this is the reason why doctors are reluctant to prescribe me HRT estrogen, because that also carries a high blood clot stroke risk, or slightly elevated blood clot stroke risk. I mean, in retrospect, I was very lucky that the doctors found it so I won't say easily, but they found it relatively early, because people can live for decades with it, because and it can go completely undiagnosed, because the symptoms are quite vague. I mean, we're talking like symptoms such as fatigue or red itchy skin, headaches, bodily aches and pains, so nothing really that you would associate with a cancer. So, I mean, I think I was actually, for once, being trans put me at an advantage, because I was having so many blood tests for to check on my HRT and my sort of, my liver and kidney functions, that they found it quicker, I think, because it probably wouldn't have been found if I wasn't transitioning with HRT. I don't think doctors would have found it for at least another like few decades. So yeah, I mean, so basically that means that I'm more, being a bit younger, that means that I'm more resilient to the treatment. I mean, our treatments included, to start off with, venesection. So that's literally, I had to have blood taken. I had to have 3 pints of blood taken, not all at once, but I had to have 3 appointments at the haematologist in that hospital, where they took a pint of blood from each time. Now, the first time, I almost fainted, because I hadn't had that much blood taken before. So I literally, I hadn't had much for breakfast, and I hadn't had much to drink either, in terms of water, fluids, or anything. So I started to go faint, and I didn't actually faint, but I got quite close to that. So I found that quite scary, the loss of control, because I never fainted before. And then after that, I was prescribed a drug called Interferon, which is, I have it here. So that's basically, I think it's called PEG interferon, and I have to administer it myself with a syringe once a week. So that's the syringe. So that goes into my belly. Ooh, not very good at this, but you can see how yeah, there we go. Look at that needle. Ooh. But I have to put that in my belly once a week, and so it takes a lot of getting used to. I'm not really used to it, but that's actually a chemo drug. So and then I also have to take dispersible aspirin as well. So that's the dispersible aspirin there. Basically, I have to take that. It dissolves into a glass of water, and I have it with my breakfast. So nice little small pills, but they dissolve anyway, so it doesn't really, I don't have to sort of swallow them whole. So yeah, so that's, I mean, fortunately the meds seem to be working, because my blood count since May has stabilized to normal levels. Now, when my blood count stabilized, I was hoping that I could go back on estrogen, because basically, stop saying basically, Katie, but because my condition puts me at higher risk of blood clots and strokes, my endocrinologist and also the haematologist as well have been reluctant to either prescribe or recommend me for estrogen, because they don't want to do anything that will elevate my blood clot and stroke risk. So the weird thing is, the endo prescribed me Zoladex since last September. So I literally since October of last year, my testosterone level has been 0.5 nmol. So I haven't had any hormones going through me at all since September of last year until August of this year. So and I will get on to that. So my T level has been lower than most cisgender women, but I haven't had anything to replace it. So I've had a massive hormone imbalance for so the best part of, well, it's been the best part of a year actually. I had it, and it's also extremely bad for me because I can't go on like that because it will affect my bone health, because hormones regulate bone health, and I would develop osteoporosis, so along with like having a massive hormonal imbalance, which isn't good for me emotionally. So yeah, but so yeah, neither the endo or the hematologist wanted to prescribe me estrogen, and you can understand where they're coming from because there actually isn't any medical literature of a trans woman with polycythemia vera actually transitioning via HRT. Now, I mean, as far as I know, there's only one other trans woman who I've known of who has polycythemia vera and is trying to transition via HRT, and that was a woman that I found on a forum back last year, who was asking a question about whether she could transition with this condition, and nobody could give her an answer really because it's such a rare condition. And I tried to get in touch with her, but I haven't heard back from her, and that was back about a year ago. So I'm not sure how that worked out. I mean, I hope she's okay. You know, I'm sure she is okay, and I hope they found a way around it and that she's taking, you know, she is transitioning now. So yeah, so you can see it from their point of view. They don't want to sign me off because it's a leap in the dark, and they don't want, obviously, if anything happened to me, then the coroner would go through the records and say, oh well, Dr. So-and-so prescribed Katie HRT back in such and such a date, and we don't know what caused a stroke or blood clot, but that could have been a factor. So such and such a doctor then gets either a sort of demerit in their book, or they get struck off. You know, so I mean, you can see really that why. So obviously, the NHS will never prescribe me estrogen. They prescribe me testosterone blocker, but then that on its own is as harmful for a long period of time. You know, my bones are going to turn to mush. So I decided, well, I thought I would try and go privately, and luckily I contacted Dr. Weberly. Dr. Weberly's Gender GP online clinic, and they agreed to start me off on estrogen again at a very low dose of 25 meg. So I started with the patches, and then it was up to 50 meg when my blood test results were coming back okay. And then they ran out of patches, because I think there was some kind of there's like some national shortage in the UK, because the patches that are being produced are produced in China, and there's something to do with the adhesive being against health and safety regulations or something like that. I don't know, don't quote me on that, but I think that was the issue. So we so Dr. Weberly's clinic switched me over to gel. So I'm actually on this one here, which is like a sort of think it's called Estrogel. It's an estrogel pump pack, so it's basically a gel which I sort of rub onto my skin. I mean, I put it on my inner thighs, and that's 75 meg, which is kind of like a higher dose now again. So everything seems to be okay at the moment, so that's good. I had a blood test this morning actually. I just got like a mark on, I got a bardy. But I had a blood test this morning, and so I'm awaiting the results of that, and I'll send that on to Dr. Webley. And all being well, touch wood, because I'm very superstitious, they will up my dose and I can continue with the gel. So my last testosterone and estrogen levels were taken a couple of weeks ago, and the results of those are 0.5 for the testosterone, which I was expecting because I knew my testosterone was virtually non-existent, and good news is 116 met 116 nmol for the estrogen. So the estrogen, although it should be at least 400 as far as I know, for me to actually start physically feminizing, at least I can see that it's actually going up, albeit steadily. So that's good news, and I'm hoping like maybe this time next year I will start to actually feminize. But yeah, and I'm in a catch-22 with this really, because if I'd have continued with a testosterone blocker indefinitely, so that would have been bad for me. But if I'd have stopped, if I couldn't have the estrogen, then I would effectively detransition. And I'm also pretty sure that the fact that I was on T blocker for so long was that I was on the fact that my T level was so low means that the chemo drug I've been taking hasn't sort of made my hair fall out, so it stopped my hair from falling out. So yeah, that's basically just what I wanted to tell you about really, what it's like to have a condition called Polycythemia Vera, and to try and attempt to transition at the same time. So yeah, so I hope my video is better than the last one, because the last one, my presentation was terrible. I have got notes, but I'm kind of got them right straight in front of me, and it probably shows, I don't know, but there we go. Um, now I'd be really, really curious to know if anybody else out there watching this video has Polycythemia Vera. And I'd be even more surprised if somebody watching this has Polycythemia Vera and is trans. But if you have, or if you know somebody who does, or even if you're not trans and you have the same condition, I'd be really interested to hear in the comments below about your experiences of living with Polycythemia Vera. So yeah, so I think that's all I want to say now. So I'd like to say bye, take care, and I love you all.